Hari Om. Jai Gurudev. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. Jai Gurudev. I think a lot of doubts today got clarified. For me especially.
Yeah, I agree.
I always had this doubt of why Veda is asking us, telling us that Atma is, we are Brahman, Tattvamasi. Why is it asking us to do all this Karma Kanda? Why is there a Karma Kanda section at all? So there's a lot of clarity with respect to that. Also a bit of clarity with respect to the Gauna and the Mithya Pratyaya. And very, very beautifully how Shankara, Adi Shankara has given his justification of why, of how knowledge is ultimate, and because it is knowledge of yourself and it cannot be negated further. Very nice, very beautiful it was. And those example, you know, that example of the light, it does not read. Light does not read. You're just putting on the light. In the light of the light, you read, you do things. It does not mean that the light is doing those things. Similarly, Atma is an akarta. How beautifully he derived the fact that when the Purva Pakshi says Atma is a karta, and the Shruti is asking, is addressing the karta, which is therefore Atma is a karta. How beautifully Shankara brings in the argument saying Atma is an akarta. In that example of the light, everything happens in the light. It doesn't mean light does everything. Light remains an akarta. Very, very beautiful today. Yeah. I would want, and everybody else can please share your inputs, your understanding. So Sureshji, if I understand, Vedanta is part of the Veda. Veda has two parts, Karma Kanda and the Jnana Kanda. So Vedanta is the Jnana Kanda aspect. Whereas Karma Kanda is the kind of, if we can say, the initial part of the Veda. So Veda is not different from Vedanta. That is my understanding.
Yeah, the other day, Nana said, right, 90% of the Veda is that Karma Kanda, and the 10% of it is the Jnana Kanda.
Correct.
So that is the one, remember that we even had a question about who is this Purva Mimamsa, the Uttara Mimamsa, that is that the Purva Mimamsa probably looking at the Karma Kanda part of it, then the Jnana Kanda, I think. I mean, at least that one chart Dr. Renu sent it. I remember that one was saying something like that. The Uttara Mimamsa is the one with the Vedanta, like.
Correct.
So the Vedanta includes that Upanishads, right?
Yeah.
All the Brahma Sutra and Upanishad.
Right.
Yeah. So there were nice flow chart of all the questions that we had. Should we paying all this and doing all these rituals and things like that is correct or not? Like that is also kind of clear to me that, we should still continue to do until we get the mind to be steady and clear.
So beautiful, no? Instead of
Yeah.
doing any other thing, instead of doing adharmic work, The Karma Kanda directs a person to do things and tells him what not to do. So he's giving
Yeah.
Nitya Naimittika Karma and Pratisiddha Karma or Nishiddha Karma. It's giving that clarity of thought where what you should do and also the eligibility to do that.
Yeah.
Brahmachari, what a Rasta
Yeah.
can do. So
Yeah, that part I wanted to have some clarification on that words. You remember it said like you had to be qualified to do this Agnihotra and then to do that
Manana.
Jyotistoma
So
and
the
other.
first, the
I didn't
trainer.
know what that meant, like Jyotistoma and the Chatur one first year or something like that.
Correct. So
Mm.
I know a little bit. I can share that.
Mm.
First one, the first eligibility is to from a child. When a child comes of age, say 7 or 8 years, he is initiated into the Upanayana. Upanayana is a ritual where the Gayatri mantra is initiated into the child, and he's given the sacred thread. That gives him eligibility to do the uh,
In the Sandhya Vandanam,
Sandhya
right?
can do the Sandhya Vandana,
Yeah.
and then when he becomes a grahastha, when he and he's also eligible for marriage, for vivaha. So once he gets married, then he gets the eligibility to do the Agnihotra. Now I don't know honestly the difference between Agnihotra and the Jyotishtoma, and then what the Chaturmasya rituals are. These things I don't know, but the Agnihotra is a simple ritual that you do at sunrise and sunset time with a simple mantra, and that um, that eligibility you get when you become a grahastha. So it is like a stepwise manner. So similarly, if you continue your ascent, there will come a time when you're saying, who is this Ishvara that I'm worshipping? What is the relationship between Ishvara and me? That is where the seeds of mumukshutvam start. And when they sprout, that leads one to the Vedanta part of the Vedas. Then you go to the Uttara Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa, and then you start inquiring, who am I? What is the creation? What is the relationship between me and Ishvara? Then, the Karma Kanda does not become, it is like Mithya for you. It has no validity then. It drops. It has fulfilled its part in making a mumukshu of an artharthi and a kami. A person who was till then, after achieving some ends, he's doing a homa to achieve a putra kameshti yaga. He wants to get a son or a daughter, a progeny. So all that is dropped, and now the only purushartha he has is moksha, and that is where the Upanishads and all of them come in, and then they show him the way. So beautiful. In the second chapter, I had this big doubt when Bhagwan talks of um, he tells him, do not follow those people who talk flowery words. What is that shloka?
Yam Pushpitam.
Vacham.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I had this big doubt. It's looming in my head. I said, if that is the case, then why ever do we have these rituals?
Right. We were all talking about it a lot
A
those
lot.
days, right? Whether we should be praying this or not doing
I
that.
I had a
Now,
big doubt.
yeah, we should continue do what we are doing, and then hopefully it will come by itself.
I had this
That
big doubt. Why is Gurudev doing Rudra Homa? Why are we having all these Navratri Homas? Although I attend and I revel in them, that little query was there. I said, why are we doing this? Now it becomes clear. It is like a gradual graduation from Karma Kanda to the Jnana Kanda to
yeah,
create that.
sometimes
Yeah,
we
but we
have
will
to.
still love to attend that.
Yeah.
What?
We might still love to attend it.
Yeah. You, of course, it does not mean, that is what he said. No, somewhere he mentioned, it does not mean that once a person knows, he will stop doing this. That is where the Gauna Pratyaya comes. The Jnani will say, the body is, I'm hungry. When he says I'm hungry, it is the body that is hungry, that is experiencing hunger. The body is getting fat. So he looks at it as figuratively, and not as mithya. For him, the mithya is gone. For him, the false notion that I am the body is gone. He sees the body as separate from him. So he'll continue to rebel. There is nothing.
There it is. For that part, that's a Gauna expression, we said, right?
Correct.
And then the other one was the Mithya is like
For
when
an
you are
ajnani,
He knows all that
Ajnani.
is mithya.
Yeah.
Knowing it is mithya, he will attend.
he will attend. Of course, yeah, that is what he's
Correct.
doing. That is why in some satsang, I remember someone had asked, do we actually have to go through all these rituals and prayers and homas and all? Then Gurudev stopped and he says, actually, they have no, it's not
Correct.
required.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
remember.
required. So he was talking at that, for that answer, he was coming from the space of
Being in that,
the knowledge that all this is mithya. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I met Swamiji, for whom even the sadhana is not required, it seems. Gurudev has said. The even Kriya and all, they don't need to do. Because they have, these are people who have already realized, not in the process or path.
Correct. He says that very clearly in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. A Siddha is different. The rules for a Siddha are different from rules for a Sadhaka.
Yeah, they might do only for setting example for the others, but for them, actually, they don't need. Yeah, this is good. So I was going to ask a doubt to question to Nanaji, which was essentially, okay, a lot of things Shankara has thought what could be the objections and answered them upfront. But for many, might be these doubts might not even come up. For some, meaning, okay, he has gone to a level of understanding what all doubt. But for many of us, maybe many of these doubts may not even come. Then we don't really worry about what is the explanation Shankara is giving to counter that doubt. Isn't because maybe we don't have that doubt, that Shraddha and that whatever Antakarna Shuddhi maybe has happened to some extent that those doubts don't even come. Then we might not need really to deeply understand the counter argument. Only if we have a doubt, to get over that doubt, we need. Right? Manana is to get rid of doubts. But where don't have really doubts, maybe we don't need to worry about getting an understanding of the explanation. Mainly because, okay, a lot of these explanations, sometimes because I was not attending right from beginning, were like bounces for me. But I really didn't have those doubts. So I don't want to also, listening to it, create a doubt in my mind. So sometimes it's better to be ignorant. No? They say ignorance is bliss. Maybe in this case it applied. Means I was not having that doubt. So then it was okay, even if I didn't understand the justification or the explanation for that. Because Shankara obviously did not want people with no doubts to have doubts. Because of listening to Purva Paksha's argument, right? That was not the
That
objective.
is true. Yeah.
We have to be careful that we don't get suddenly doubt because some Purva Pakshi asked some question or Shankara.
You mix up the
gave an answer.
arguments, then you can get the confusion. But then when you kind of when we are reading it, when we understand it properly, then it gives you that step by step, like a flow diagram as to where we are right now, where we should go, or even try to understand ourselves where we are at this stage. Even though we've been doing this for 9 months, okay, am I doing it correctly? Who's going to tell me I'm, what should I pursue? This, we all, a lot of questions always in our mind, but then this, by reading completely, that's when some clarification comes. Um, Even if you are looking at different Guruji's talk, they don't cover everything except one person at least explaining it a little bit clearly. Then it makes sense to me. I mean, at least I
So
mean, I know we
the
cannot
way,
get all the points, but it still helps. Yeah.
for example, people who are not highly ritualistic, I am not, I'll honestly admit. So for me, uh, have knowing a lot about why rituals are done, whether it is really required, or doubts about rituals and this, did not arise in my mind. Does not still arise. So for me, maybe those Purva Pakshi's argument and Shankara's explanation may not be very relevant, right? So certain things, if I don't understand about it, is okay for me. It's not a doubt that I had anyway. But at the same time, I have to also make sure that I don't get a doubt because of that somebody. Because so far I never had that. That should also not happen, right? So that's where that balance is what I'm trying to strike. Where okay, those doubts are not there. Let it not be there in future also.
But along with the doubt, you got the knowledge about it, right?
Yeah, knowledge about it, yes, but anyway the doubt was not there. So even that knowledge may not be very clear to me at this point, because there are a lot of things which I have not clearly understood in this part, especially because I didn't have those doubts. So even the explanation of that, those doubts may not be very relevant and may not be very clear to me, because I never had that doubt. So for me, that part is not,
The one
doesn't
thing,
really bother me too much that I have not understood, because I really didn't have that doubt, and so the explanation of that doubt, if not clear, is also okay.
yeah,
I
one
don't know
thing
how.
I want to clarify, that Mrinal, I think when actually Dr. Brahmer at that time we were on vacation or something, when we were reading it, there was one question came about ego. That time I probably I didn't I my explanation still explained about egotism rather than ego. I think Mrinal, what you said is correct. It's like self. Ego is just self. Um, so um, so I just want to stand corrected on that. Egotism is where that where you kind of boast yourself, or everybody has to be at the feet and things like that. So those things kind of clarified when we read. Even for me, even the language itself has so much of the meaning clarified, especially when you're reading so much of material.
I don't know whether it is relevant or it is appropriate here, but then, Vijayji, you said you didn't have the doubt, but then, uh, um, supposing you have to explain to someone who has this doubt, unless you know what the actual answer is, how to go about answering it, you would not be able to, isn't it? In your mind, you're clear. So I'm not sure how relevant it is, because this is all about self-knowledge, self-study. So I'm not sure how relevant it is when it comes to you teaching it to someone, except for that Rishi Rina aspect where what you know you share with others. So in the process of sharing with others, like what Nana is doing right now, he's sharing this knowledge that he has gained with all of us. So unless he himself is clear in his mind, he will not be able to clarify our doubts. No,
That's
this is
true. Yeah.
exactly
So
this is
yes, if you're
exactly what Shankara is doing. The
yeah.
Purva Pakshi is only like a, that is why when I asked whether the Purva Pakshi has still not, evolved to be a mumukshu, he said, no, he's only like a sparring partner. It is only to bring up all those little doubts that can crop up in the process of our nididhyasana, in the process of understanding Vedanta. Like, for instance, I'm very happy you didn't have those doubts, but whether you have the doubts or the people you are sharing this knowledge have those doubts, you should be in a position to clarify them. So probably that is where all this is important. I mean, I might be wrong.
Yeah,
But
no, you're right. If you're going to be teaching it, or then you have to be very clear, obviously. But at this point, as an aspiring mumukshu, may not be for me. I might not be able to explain that portion for sure. But yeah, once you decide to impart this knowledge to others, yes, you have to understand all aspects of it. People might have
because
all kinds of views.
in chapter 18, Bhagwan says, no, he says the person who follows me and who shares my glories with others, who teaches this Gita to others, he is he's very devoted to, he's very dear to me. So he actually attains me. So if you remember those last
Yeah,
few
yeah.
verses in the
Correct.
chapter 18, I think all of us should be in that capacity in due course. We should be able to actually share this beautiful knowledge with how many ever people. Like how Swami Chinmayananda's guru told him. He said, I want to go and share this. He said, if you have 3 people, go ahead and share. I mean, that might be out of context, but what I'm saying is that Rishi Rina, we all have um, to repay. We have received knowledge, so we also share this knowledge. So
But
in that
Ramaraji,
this might be important.
yeah, just out of curiosity, I'm asking this. Will it? I'm sure Nanaji is already realized. That's why he's able to so beautifully explain and give us that experiential knowledge. But I don't know if somebody can teach it without really having a glimpse of some experience of that. I'm not sure. Maybe there are many people who teach, but that is like teaching any other subject, isn't it? Then
Yeah, that is a difference between a teacher and
a guru
a
or a
guru.
acharya, or I don't know what you
Yeah.
call acharya or guru. Yeah, one has to be in that space to be able to say and make that feeling to the other person who is listening, or the students, right? Otherwise, it is like teaching any other subject, and I don't think this Bhagavad Gita can be taught like that.
See, that is why coming to our happiness program, we are all, most of us here are teachers, right? So why is it repeatedly told to us that be in in a hollow and empty space? Once you get onto that Vyasapeeth, you are not the one speaking. You become hollow and empty, number one. Second, for the Guru Tattva to flow through you, you have to come to that space. And then it is time and again told to us, stick to the manual. Stick to the manual. Why is that told to us? And what Banu Didi said when we were doing the Sahaj TTP, she said, stick to the manual word to word.
Correct.
Because the moment we start bringing in our own whatever explanation, then we are kind of so-called that aham is coming in there. It is not the Guru Tattva that's speaking. So even in our courses, not, I mean, I wish all of us teachers are enlightened, but we are not enlightened. We are still work in progress, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we are only channelizing that energy for that particular time, that the time that we are sitting in there on that thing, provided we are ourselves hollow and empty. That is why we have gradations of teachers. There are some teachers who can attract a lot of people. For some, when they're talking, I mean, I think it is in our own experience. There are some times when you're giving that knowledge point, you know it is not you who is speaking.
Yeah, that happens.
It is
Many
just
times.
something that overtakes. It is that point, it's the Guru Tattva that takes over. So I don't think you should come, you will share this knowledge only if you've realized it. Yes, of course, you can translate that into an experiential thing. Like when Gurudev talks knowledge, it becomes you can feel it. It becomes an experiential thing. So that state is, I think, a very evolved teacher. A guru only can do that. We are all only acharyas. That is why they're only channelizing his energy, his knowledge.
Correct. Understood. Yeah.
So
Yeah, for me also, I had felt this like, let me learn the first basics and then, get into this kind of arguments and counter arguments. But then few of the doubts which were just lying behind are getting cleared now. Or the doubts which were now I had put them to sleep are popping up again. The Purma Mimamsa in me has woken up. And I had this question yesterday, with Nanaji had tried to explain, but still the doubt has not been clear. Can I ask this question now?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. See, if we equate ourselves Atma to the Brahman, the attributes of Atma and Brahman has to be same, right? That it doesn't have a mind, so it should not have a thought. And eventually no desire and no memory. Am I right? So Atma and Brahman should not have these attributes.
No, it's
So the
not
question,
doer, but
Okay.
that is, yeah, go ahead, finish what you're saying. Yeah.
so does it have a mind then? Atma does Atma or the Brahman has a mind? But because this is out of Prakriti, right? The mind body complex has created out of Prakriti.
Mm-mm. So, I mean, how Nana explained is that Supreme Being is because of that Leela, whatever he uh, created the world and the beings. So then that beings, he perverted the beings, all those animal plants or the living things. So when he created basically that Brahman is the Atma, right? The Atma is Brahman. So that's equated like that. And then the Brahman is the without this Atma, the whole this body mind complex doesn't function. But again, it is like what is that called? Sukshma. That tattva, that's what it says. Like now we say, okay, how the one person is dead, what happens then? That we have this body, we still, that body is there. Of course, everything is there, right? Literally, but then what happens to that atma? The atma is not destroyed. So then that's where that connection is. Like when you're, I get it. Like I know when you ask the question, what he had the thought to create this world, right? So then you're thinking that, oh, God has this thought, but he has that power. That Bhagavan himself described with that 5-6 qualities that um, we remember we had read that what Bhagavan means. Now I kind of blanking it out on that with
The
the
six
what do you call
attributes,
that? Huh? The
six
power.
attributes of one.
I don't remember all the Sanskrit words like the yaksha, the fame, power, strength, and
Yeah,
Knowledge.
valor, and all that
yeah.
kind
But
of. Yeah.
there again, Maharaji, what you're saying is again that Bhagavan, which we are seeing as someone different, but ultimately where we are all heading towards is
No,
that
no, no,
me
no,
and
no, yeah, go ahead. But what I'm saying is that it started somewhere, right? Like when he said that the Brahman has a mind or not having the mind, we cannot uh, again give that nama and rupa to that Brahman. This is where it is. We know that Brahman is limitless, and he's no rupa, no he's just everything. So when you try to put it in that form, like, oh, does he have a mind, does he have this, this consciousness, you're not going to see it. We talk about consciousness all the time, but we are not going to see it. We can only even the feeling it. I don't touch my consciousness, but when you're awake, you're conscious. When you're sleeping, you're not conscious. That's how you feel. Like so that is how I think I take it. So I couldn't put it in that perspective, whether God has the brain and mind and things like that. But then I get the question, like maybe we'll have to come somewhere in this thing.
Renal, thank you, Dr. Mara. The answer to your question is Nasadiya Sukta, and I again urge all of you to experience the Mandala Vatika. It is so much, it's all to do about creation. It's all about the secrets that are revealed through how the Veda has revealed the science, the secrets of creation versus what modern science is. It will give you so much of insight into how the whole creation came about. In fact, there is a physicist who said, and this is what is shared also in the Vatika, in the Mandal Vatika course, that he has studied matter for 30 years only to know that it does not exist. That is such a profound thing. He is coming to the conclusion that all this, the Jagat is mithya. It is non-existent. It is mithya. That is one. And second, the Nasadiya Sukta, very beautifully, there are just 10 verses in the Nasadiya Sukta, in the 10th canto of the Rig Veda. They talk about how creation came about. I will repost the Nasadiya Sukta in the group. And Gurudev himself he's given word to word translation of the Nasadiya Sukta. And this is what is also shared in the Mandal Vatika course. I would really urge all of us who've not yet experienced it to please experience it.
Yeah, even we posted that the recent Nobel Prize, that quantum theory. I'm not that well versed in the quantum physics and whatnot. But then again, you're, like you said, it was
You
so the
you don't
existence,
need,
consciousness, and bliss. That becomes a bottom line here. So we are all mithya, and everything we see doing everything, like even the way I'm talking to you is doing. It's not even our doing. So that is the level we have to get to, like in terms of that. I mean, it is kind of partly the knowledge, and partly, you're trying to get there. But then again, it to become like a jnani, that will take more time. Anyway, go
two things.
ahead.
One, why I'm insisting, or why I'm kind of
The
urging
Mandala Vatika.
this. I'm no one to insist, but urging all of us to experience this Mandala Vatika. Number one, it gives a totally new perspective, a clearer understanding, just like how Spandakarika was. I'm not sure how many of us here have listened to Gurudev's commentary on the Spandakarika. It gives you a little experience into what the actual nature of Atma is. Who are we? We are all the special vibrations. General vibration is the one that runs in and through. So it gives you that little clarity. Similarly, this adds to some clarity. That is one reason. Second is because it is blessed by Gurudev. I know I might sound a little fanatic, but that is the Shraddha that is there. That if he has blessed it, there has to be some, some value and utility to that. So with these two in mind, I would again urge you listen to at least the introductory talk that Dr. Prabhakar Rao is given. And if that appeals to you, I would recommend that you can go ahead. There is still time to register for the 4 bundle Mandal Vatika, where you learn about the 4 things. Dr. Vijayji, this is nothing to do with rituals, okay? Although there is a ritual involved, there is so much more than just ritual. The understanding that one gets is beyond
a my question was, if the Brahman can create Maya, or it is its attribute, if I am Brahman, is that me who has created? Then how can I be Akarta? And how can I have a desire when Atma has no desires? Atma doesn't have a memory. Then something has been created, Maya has been created, or its attribute, it was already there. These are the questions I have. If it is Atma and Brahman are the same, then it's been created, right? The Maya has been created. There was a desire to play this Leela. This is what my question was. Then how can we say that Atma doesn't have a desire if I am the Brahman? These are the questions I'm having.
Mrinalji, one is Atma and Brahman are the same, but okay, you can look at it maybe as a microcosm and macrocosm. Means at an individual level, we say Atma, but when we put like Samashti or the whole thing, then we say Brahman, right? But essentially, it is the same. That's what we are going towards, that Atma, Brahma, Aikyam. It will finally, you will know that both are the same, not different. But when we are looking at us in the beginning stages, we have to realize what is this I. When I say I, what is that I? That I is Atma. Eventually, we'll say Atma same as Brahman. Brahman, which is the whole universal, what should we say? The substratum. That is what we are. That is where we are heading towards. But for being, we have to first understand this I. I is not this body, not this mind, not this intellect. So that's where we have an individual consciousness, which is what we call the Atma. And then we have the collective consciousness, which is what the Brahman is. And both are no different. Both are no different. That is answer to your first question. Now, whether that collective consciousness has a mind, I don't think so. It's supposed to be no attributes, right? No attributes to Brahman or Atman, both no attributes. So obviously it can't have a mind, intellect. These are all parts of the Sukshma Sharira. So that has been created by Maya. Now Maya is a part of the overall creation. When Ishvara created, he created and he became the creation. Everything is he. Somewhere in one of the sessions we were reading, right? He's the Upadana Karanam. He's the some other Karanam also. I don't know the Sanskrit.
Material cause and
Material cause,
efficient
the
cause. Yeah.
efficient cause. Both is Ishvara only.
Yeah.
But why
Ishvara.
did he have a desire to create it? Like yesterday or day before, Nanaji was saying, it was his Krida, Leela. So actually, he created Brahma. This is Chaturmukhi Brahma I'm talking about. He wanted to have that Leela, so he created. Now he created with the intention of having some kind of a play, right? Leela is a play. But it happened that when he created these creations, though pervaded by the same Ishvara, maybe took the roles too seriously. Like an actor, when he goes and performs, after the role is this is over, right? He goes back home and becomes a normal person, father, son, whatever role. But he carries that role which he performed on the screen also back home. and thinks maybe he was playing the role of Shivaji or whatever. He can't go and play that same role at home. But when Brahmaji created this, people or the creation started maybe thinking they are someone different from Brahmaji who created it. Then it became the whole drama started. This is how I have understood how this creation came and why each one now has a mind and why all these sansara, all that. That is now we have to cross and realize we are the same from where we came. We are same Ishvara. He created a vision or a version of himself. He was supposed to have created different versions or cloned himself. So we have Rupa and then merge into that and understand, oh, I am the same. That's the journey. So right now, with our intellectual mind, we'll have these doubts. But then we have to say, yes, now I understand from Shastra that this is all a play of the mind. I have to get beyond it. When you go beyond it is where all these avatars or enlightened souls, they all know that they are a part of this collective consciousness. So they see all this drama happening. For them, it's all a drama, right? They are viewing it just like a drama or a movie. Nothing happening on the screen. Movies being projected there. Characters are playing, fighting, crying, all pain, sorrow, everything. But nothing happens to the screen. Same way they are viewing the world like that only. This is my understanding. I don't know. Realizing we'll have to realize eventually.
So we have those very nicely brought it out, Vijayji. The thing is, we have Shruti, Yukti, and um, Anubhava, right? I know this may not be directly answering your question, Rinal, but that is where that Shraddha comes in. The Shraddha part comes where you take the Shruti Vakya, because the Shruti is talking about something which is Adrishta. And the Shruti, Rigveda is part of the Shruti. The Nasadiya Sutta is part of the Shruti. And that is what is saying. It is saying the creator had, he breathed. You have to listen to the Nasadiya Sutta. He breathed, and there, from the breath, there was life. And there was actually, initially there was sound. And then from the sound, there was huge fire. And then it all goes very beautifully. And it is in line with what the Big Bang theory now kind of, explains how creation actually happened. So there, I think we need to have Shraddha for the time being.
Yeah,
Shraddha is
some
what
time ago that Atreya Upanishad, that there was it actually explains the whole this creation, how this came about. I mean,
so
yeah,
Shraddha is pending inquiry. It is belief pending inquiry. So we need to have that belief that this is what happened. Whether or not actual Brahman has a thought, has a desire, he is not desire, he is desireless. But how then did the creation happen? Creation is not real, it is unreal. That is what we know, it is mithya. We know conceptually it is mithya, but it is still not our experience. Therefore, with yukti, till it becomes your anubhava, you have to keep that shraddha and continue to pursue Vedanta, because you are a mumukshu now. So you continue to pursue that purushartha till it becomes your anubhava.
Yeah.
And once it becomes your experience, then you realize, oh, that is it. I suppose it is, you experience Advaita.
Beautiful state to be in. Just imagining that state is too good. Reaching
Isn't
there,
it?
really, yeah. But
Your
there's nowhere
voice
to
is
be.
breaking, Vijayji, today.
Okay. Today is
In and out.
Sunday, no? No, no, I'm saying Sunday means other connections may be there on the wireless.
Right. Yeah. Very nice it is today.
Yeah, that we are even wonder about this three murtis, right? Brahma, Vishnu, and um, what do you call Shiva,
Maheshwara.
right? I mean, yeah, I mean, I am not towards any of like I wouldn't take the sides here. I'm just saying uh, when people say like even when reading Vishnu Sahasranama about the first letter, the Nama itself, Vishwasmai. So the basically there was one that Tattva Vidananda ji. I mean, I didn't hear all of it, but he was just explaining. He's not Mr. Vishnu. Vishnu means like he is like Mr. Vishnu like that. Uh, Vishnu means he's everywhere. Like I know the Tamil word,
Vyapakatvat
but
Vishnu.
huh?
Vyapakatvat Vishnu.
Right.
That is all
So
per
he
Vishnu.
pervading, yeah, all is everywhere, right? That's what Vishnu is. And so all the attributes is what those namas are. Like the Vishwasmai is like he's in you as well as he's out there everywhere. So that's the way they say about Vishwasmai. So then there was yesterday I was listening to Rudram, there was somebody who was talking about, in Kashi, that Shiva name is Vishwanatha. How that name came about is Nathan for Vishwam, the whole universe. So then, we I not paid attention to that, like that kind of thing, but I'm just saying. So there isn't any. It kind of fits to um, Agni also first god, and then they say that Agni is the first god, and then they say this Narayana as well as Shiva, both of them is also mentioned like this. So I just thought I'll share that because it was interesting to me because I not paid attention to that word. I mean, like the name, we always talk about it.
Before we wind up, these we were exposed to a few terminology today. Uh, this pratyaksha pramana, anumana, arthapatti, upamana, and anupalabdhi. Pratyaksha is what we directly see. Inference is anumana, like the smoke coming out of when you see smoke, you understand that there should be fire. So you infer that way. Presumption, arthapatti. I forgot the example Nana gave for this presumption. Upamana is like that Devadatta is like a lion, or the student is fire. So it's like a simile or a metaphor. Or the means for cognition of non-existence, anupalabdhi.
He mentioned about that hand. You saw somebody and then he says, I have apple in my hand. But then
Correct,
you're looking at the hand, there's no apple. So
correct.
that's a cognition of non-existence. For the presumption, he said similar uh, example, like you presume, yeah, you eat and sleep or something like that, and um,
Uh,
then you're looking
a
at this
person
person.
who says who
Mhm.
does not eat in the day, but he's
Yeah,
getting fat,
yeah,
means he must be eating in the night, because when everybody, not in the day, but in the night, he's making do with overeating maybe, and therefore he's fat. So that is a presumption. That is an example, right? He gave.
that's example.
Yeah.
That's example with that. And then, yeah, I also that upaya is like a help, right? Like,
Upaya is like a solution, a hack,
what?
a hack or a solution to get out of a
Oh,
situation
upaya,
problem.
upaya. Upaya. Okay. And then the Badita is negative. Badita. And I didn't know what the Bada means. I thought, negation, a question I put
Badita. Badita is negatable. Badita
negatable.
is not negatable.
No, yeah. But then Bada, just Bada, B-A-D-H-A. Bada. Somewhere you read like a Beda, that be ye. Bada is, yeah. The other word I really like.
Which one? I
So
think you're either muted.
sorry, the Nadigata. What is not known?
Anadigata.
He said, okay, Anadigata.
Anadigata.
He mentioned something like Nadigata or something like that. But it does have A in front, Anadigata.
Yeah. Anadigata. Anadigata. That is,
Anadigata.
pramana
Yeah.
means of knowledge has its access only to inference with reference to things that are not known.
Not known. Yeah. And then the one Veda is basically it gives Shruti gives what is not known. It doesn't talk about anything that is known. That point and that other point also. First thing he mentioned about Sarvam, Idam, Agam. Sarvam, Agam, Idam, or Agam, Mayam, Agam, Mayam, Mayam. Sarvam, Agam, Mayam. So that kindles love for all. So that's, I thought I'll put that for myself, like for meditation, that'd be good. That you kind of kindles love for everybody.
Good.
Yeah. So that's good. He went through all these words also. Thank you.
We'll wind up here today. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Okay, thank you.
Jai Gurudev. Dhanyavad Brahmarati.
Jai Gurudev.